All right. Let's let everybody in here this morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Love this. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Gather in, grab that coffee, grab that water, right? Fueling number two, if you've been up like Marge and I have, don't forget that pen and paper, you guys. We've got a lot of stuff to cover today. It's going to be a full jam-packed hour. So we got a lot of folks tuning in here live on Zoom, Facebook Live, and all over the country here this morning. Marge and I would love to hear where you're coming from here this morning. I know we've got some folks from Alaska. Marge and I were talking about that a little bit this morning. She's got family up in Alaska, coaching family, Montana, Oregon, Nevada, California. But we got to start representing the East Coast. Marge and I were talking about that a little bit. Oh, Peggy's raising her hand. I love it. Good. All right. So let us know where you're coming in from this morning. Maybe one thing that you're hoping to get out of the series as we kick it off a little bit with dreaming here this morning. So for those of you that do not know me, my name is Anna Relaford, certified health coach with Optavia now for 5 years now. And I'm coming in from the stunning Reno, Nevada area. For those of you guys that don't know, the foothills here are absolutely gorgeous. Marge and I were just talking about the fall colors and bonding over that. It's absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, it's a riot of colors here and the seasons are turning. And honestly, I couldn't think of a more perfect season to dive into the transformational end of our business than fall, you guys. It's such a great season of reflection, right? You get to dream in vivid color. Maybe you're learning to let go of a little bit of identity, like the leaves falling from the trees and embracing a new season of life. Have any of you guys ever felt like that? Like you need to embrace the new season, let the leaves fall? Whitney, I know that you do. We've talked about this many times. So you guys, I'm really excited about this morning. You know, and my hopes and dreams for this series is to help you guys awaken the potential within, and that no matter what season of life that you're in, that you can actually weather any storm. Help focus on the 7 equities, right? The physical, mental, social, spiritual, familial, vocational, and financial well-being that we all embody. And today, to kick this series off, you guys, I have the honor and the privilege in introducing an incredible woman who's literally risen like a fire or a phoenix out of the fire and the ashes, you guys. And she's going to show you a little bit of what that looks like here. But as we were gathered up in Oregon a few weeks ago, she actually shared the stories that represent the very tattoo that she has as a reminder of what it takes to be a dreamer. Isn't it so cool? I loved seeing that across the table as we were just sitting there having dinner together, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys, for those of you that don't know Marj Mendez, she's been coaching for over 14 years, you guys. She's been seeing so many changes over her life in their course to integrated presidential director. Because when I heard her story a few weeks ago, I reached out to her and asked if she would be so kind to share with this group here this morning her story of transformation. Now, as I wrap this up and let her take the lead, you guys, this is truly a special opportunity because she has absolutely no vested interest here than other just to have you guys have breakthrough and have a shift. So Marge, as we talked about, tell us the unplugged journey, my friend. This is all you.
Annika, thank you so much. And thank you for asking me. And honestly, it's an honor. I'm not a public speaker, although maybe now I can add that to my resume now that I'm speaking in front of all of you. But I'm just someone that saw an opportunity with Take Shape for Life, now Optavia, and saw how it could take us from where we were to where I couldn't even imagine we needed to be and where we could grow to. And I just love sharing that transformation. And with that, so thank you. Thank you for asking me. And I'm thrilled that what I shared in Oregon spoke to many. And I hope it speaks to all of you. And my prayer, honestly, is that above all, you all be in good health and prosper as your soul prospers, body, mind, and spirit, and that what I speak comes through me and to you. So with that, I did ask that a disclaimer be put up, because I am going to talk off the cuff, and I am going to be real with numbers and our timeline and what it's done for us and what it's done for our world. And I love our income disclosure statement. And here's why. Because I want to know where you all look at when you first look at it. Do you look at the top where the highest number is and the smallest percentage of growth? Or did you go right to the bottom and say, that's where I want to be, is one of the numbers at the bottom? That's where I looked, is I went straight to the bottom, because that income disclosure statement is, for me, the reality that we all have the same opportunity. We all are given the same tools. We all have been given the same advantages. What we do with it is up to us. And we have the ability to grow this opportunity, this business, be part of this mission to the extent that we want to become part of it. So I really love that income disclosure statement, because I'm going to share with you some miracles that have happened in our life. And we all have miracles that are presented before us. And the very first miracle that I received was someone approaching me and offering me this opportunity. And at the timing that they offered it, the difference between those that receive miracles, in my eyes, and those that don't are the ones that decide to walk it out. Because I live by faith, but faith, it works. Faith only works through work. You still have to do the work. So, walking it out and having that miracle in front of you, when it's put before you, it's really your mindset, how you look at it, what you're going to decide right then and there, and how you're going to move forward from that point going forward. And that income disclosure showed me that if those people that are at the bottom, okay, the smallest percentage that succeeded the most, if they could do it, I could too. And all I needed to do was embrace the mission, utilize the tools, and get to work. So with that, I do want to step back a minute and share with all of you, I was raised with an attitude, thank you to my dad. He always said, and I'm looking at my notes, so if you see me looking down, it's just so that I stay focused. It's that he always taught me that he wanted me to respect the wealthy and to work hard and grow to be wealthy myself. And the reason behind that is because he said the wealthy can always give back and contribute to society. Now, isn't that interesting? Not the fact of making money to have money, but the only way you can truly contribute to society is to work hard, create wealth, and give it back. And the lesson that he learned that through was Dale Carnegie. And he shared with me Dale Carnegie's life story. With Dale Carnegie went on to become a billionaire in the steel industry, but his whole focus was not to make money to keep the money. It was to make the money to give it all away at the time that he left this earth. And that truly is a focus that Rick and I have worked on and really have created. We've a mission statement that I want to share with all of you as well, because to us, this really wrapped up Optavia. My husband, Rick, coaches with me full time, came into the business about 4 years after I started. And together we've grown an amazing organization only by helping others create amazing organizations. So the mission statement that we live by is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. And that's exactly what Optavia allows all of us here to do, every single one of us. So, in between, from beginning to end, a lot has happened in our life. And I want to take you back to the beginning when we started this business. We were coming out of real estate. We were top producers about 15 years ago, the real estate crash of 06, 07, 08. And, we had been living living a pretty good life of abundance, but it crashed and fell apart within 3 months. Everything. Savings was gone. Home was in foreclosure. Everything was coming down on top of us. And we were presented with this opportunity. And on the health side, we had both witnessed the miracle of the health, of what it did for our health in '07. I lost over 135 pounds and Rick lost over 110 pounds. So we knew the program worked, but weren't looking at the coaching opportunity at that point. When this was presented to us and we looked at it, we saw that if we did the work, we could do it. Now, at that time, Dan Bell, our mentorships, talked about dreaming and dream big. I didn't know how to dream. Didn't even have a clue how to dream. With all the pressures of life on us at that time, with our home in foreclosure, with 3 kids in the Iraq war, 3 of our 5 are military, they were in the Iraq war. I mean, life was going on and it was happening. But what I did know is that I knew how to work hard. I knew how to follow the system. And I knew that if I wanted to be in that bottom percent of the highest income earners, I needed to follow the model to a T. It had already been done, just like McDonald's. I could cook a burger at home, but I can't serve a billion. But if I follow their model, I could serve a billion because they've already laid the path for it. So all I needed to do was engineer backwards. We set out, the first goal was how much we needed to earn in order for us to make our mortgage payment. Simple enough. We just looked at that and then said, okay, how many people do we need to serve in order for us to earn that income? There was our first dream. That was my first goal. And it might not seem like a dream to all of you, but when your dreamer's broke, and you have no idea how you're going to imagine, a mansion or serving, building an orphanage in Africa, and because you can't even breathe because you don't even know how to keep your lights on, you start setting goals, because little goals of, okay, here's what we need in finances this month. And when you accomplish that, a win begets a win. And then suddenly you start planning a little bit bigger, and setting a little bit bigger dream, and a little bit bigger dream, and a little bit bigger dream. And that's exactly how I started dreaming. And then as you accomplished each milestone, you started thinking bigger and moving forward and creating bigger goals and bigger dreams. So first and foremost, my best wisdom to all of you is, where are you at? Your current reality, and where do you want to go? Do you see this as an opportunity for 5 years? I did in the beginning. We joke when we talk to our organization, because myself and one other coach, we kind of built together, and you had to travel the country back then. We didn't have social media. You actually had to invest. You had to spend thousands to go to events like Prime Med events and conventions and fireman conventions, and put yourself out there like a vendor in order to grow the business. And, we said back then, if we could run this gig for 5 years, we'd do pretty good with it. Well, fortunately, we realized this wasn't a gig. It really is a career. It really is a legacy business when you build it the right way. And the only way to create a legacy business is to make sure everyone that you talk with knows exactly what this opportunity is. And the only way you can do that is to ask a lot of questions, not vomit on them of what you've accomplished, but really find out where they are, find out what it is they need, find out where it is they want to transform or grow, or really just have a need. And we have the answer. I don't care what area it is, we have the answer, because it's healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finance, and abundance. And if you look at all 7 equities, you will find in those equities somewhere where someone needs what we have to offer. And then with that, they know someone that needs what we have to offer. So that's the true way to grow a legacy business right from the start. Not a weight loss program, but truly offer the full offer of what we have. So with that, let me walk you through a little bit here. Our income disclosure statement. Everyone can do the work, but not everyone will. That is the only difference between the bottom and the top. Is once you make that decision that you want to be in the category that's at the bottom, the path's already laid, you do the work, it will happen. And if you read any autobiography or any biography of any successful person, the only difference between those that you're reading about and those that you're not reading about, because no one wrote about them, is they didn't quit. They did not quit. The ones that you're reading about, quit is not an option. And quit was not an option for us. I turned 60 years old, and you spoke of my tattoo. Okay, at 60, I finally went and got a tattoo. I don't even know how to hold it here for you. It's a phoenix rising up, because we have been through more obstacles in the last 15 years than most can imagine. And yet we rise up over and over and over, because what's the other option? The other option is tragedy. I often speak that testimony means that when you were in the test, you walked through it. Okay. Otherwise, it would be called a tragedy, not a testimony. Because if you don't walk through the test, you get stuck in tragedy. You don't become the testimony. So in the last 15 years, I've had a choice. I've had a choice with every obstacle that's come before me, and being part of the leadership team of this company. I'm very proud of the fact that Rick and I were part of creating the habits of transformational leadership, which the third one is we seek growth. We embrace the obstacle as the way. That doesn't mean we love obstacles. It means when we have the obstacle, we seek growth. We seek to grow through that obstacle. We seek the obstacle as the way. There is always a way to move through an obstacle. I spoke of foreclosure in the beginning. We ended up not losing our home. I'm in it now. Here we are 15 years later, we're still in this home through Optavia again. And, we were able to set the pace for what we wanted to earn. There's no other opportunity out there where that would have happened. Okay. Because we had to work hard, and we worked a lot. We had to make decisions and decide, cut things off that were not serving us for what our season was. And the mission was that we wanted to accomplish in that season. But we did it because we knew what it was we wanted. We had 5 kids, 2 Great Danes, a cat, and 5 rats. There was no way we were going to be able to go live in a box or a shelter or a rental with especially Great Danes. So, when you make that decide and there is no other option, that's when the magic happens. That's when the miracles that are presented before you walk through. The tragedies and the testimonies and the tests that we've had, I call them tests more than tragedies, because we did work through them. Annika, one of the stories that I shared from the stage that at the event that we were at that caused us to be here where we are now was in 15. I was diagnosed terminal cancer at our Orlando convention. I flew to the Orlando convention. Rick was home with his mom, who was passing within days. And I flew to Orlando, and the very next day ended up at the Cancer Institute and was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And they said I wouldn't go home. Well, through faith, I'm going to say I received a miracle. That's not the call that I'm here for to share right now. But what that also showed us is, nothing will stop you from achieving what it is you want. Because at that point, when they said I was terminal, and I made my own decisions in my mind as to whether I was checking out or not, and not letting a health professional tell me that. But I also decided on this business that if it was the end of my time, I was going to make sure I was leaving a legacy. And that along with taking care of myself, I was also going to make sure that I was shifting my focus off of me and onto who I could serve. So even in my darkest moments, I spent time with someone that I could help them move forward. And there's a win-win in that. One, my focus came off myself and went on others. And by doing that and helping someone else, they never even knew what I was going through. It also helped us grow a legacy business that I wanted to leave for our children. I wanted to leave a stomp footprint in the sand, not just a whisper in the wind. I wanted to leave an imprint in people's lives. I wanted our children to hear of the legacy that we left, not only in wealth, but in health to those that we were able to touch as well. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a timeline here. And Annika, feel free to jump in and redirect, because as I said, I'm not a professional speaker, but I do want to cover some of the top shares that I have that really showed us, really helped us stay focused and move forward. So in 15, when I got that diagnosis, Rick stepped in a little bit more than I did. We utilized our mentorship. Guys, don't ever cut your mentorship out. Mentorship is there. You are teams. It's like crew rowing in a boat. You constantly want to, I don't care how big your organization gets or your title. Before I even got on this call, I called Dan Bell. When Annika asked, I called Dan Bell and said, Dan, are you good with this? You're my direct mentor. Are you good with this? And he came back with the thumbs up and said, there we go. We check in with him quite often. Never, ever, ever underestimate your mentorship, especially in time of need. We didn't ask them to take over and build it, but we did make them aware of what was going on. Ugly up, good down. That's the best mentorship I can give you as well. Do not ever share ugly down within your organization. It'll undermine your foundation and it'll eat away at your organization. Ugly up. That means any challenges, any issues, that's what your mentorship is for, up. It's not something you share within the roots of your organization. It'll kill the roots of the tree. Okay, so we shared only up with our mentorship and let them know that if we needed them, we were going to pull them in. But in 15, when I was diagnosed, I'm going to give you this timeline because I want all of you to see how simple it is to grow an organization of any level that you want, but I'm going to speak IPD because that's where we grew to, and the timeline, because you can't do it alone, but you absolutely can do it. And now that we have the tools, you can do it even more now than you could back then. In 08, remember, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have social media, we didn't have the Compass Crew, which we're part of. We didn't have any of those tools. All right, we were traveling the country to build this business. So in 08, we started. It took us 5 years to become a global director. March of 13 is the first time we became global. There was no integration then, so it was straight up global. All right, that we became global director. We were rocking and rolling and, thinking we arrived and, living the good life until 15 at National Convention when I got slammed with that diagnosis. Well, in 15, our business went backwards to national director, because we weren't necessarily as involved. Some of our EDs were concerned, on and on, all different reasons. But in 15, we went back to ND, National Director. In 2016, let me back up. So we stayed at National Director in 15, October of 16, I can tell you the date, it was October 26th of 16. I had just walked out of my oncologist's office and they said, we don't understand why you're alive. You shouldn't be. Your cancer's terminal, but you are here. And your life expectancy is not 5 years. But because you're here, instead of you having to come every month, we're going to go every 3 months. And I walked out of that office and called Rick. Rick wasn't able to come with me. And I sat in the car and I called him and I was slamming the steering wheel saying, I am done. I am done being scared of this disease. I am done living a mediocre life. I am done going backwards in this business. I am done taking 5 years to get to global. I am done. If others can do it, we can too. And if they're telling me 5 years, I'm going out with a bang. I'm going out with a legacy. I am going out having conquered everything that I am setting out to do. And that decision was solid to my core, solid to my core. And that, if there's nothing else you get out of what I'm sharing here, what I would love for all of you to do, you have an opportunity beyond with this business, beyond your wildest imagination with this business. Make a decision, and don't let anything else get in the way. And that's what we did that day. So October of 26 of 16, I made that decision. And January of 17, we were back to global. So we went from 3 EDs. There was no integration again yet. All right. It was a different pay scale, no integration. So we were building EDs, not blended path. And we went from ND back to global within October of 16 to January of 17. In March of 17, I got botulism. Okay. Almost took me out again. Craziness, but it was. Almost took me out again. Again, obstacle is the way. Still continued because nothing was going to stop me. Remember, I was told 5 years. Here I had halfway through another sentence that was given in there. I'm not a superhero. I was committed. And even if I could just lay in that bed and talk to someone on the phone, I knew that's all it took. And I knew that I just had to keep moving forward, because the more focus I took off me, had to do self-care. I did self-care, but the more mental I took off me and was able to help someone else, the better I felt. And I just kept doing one step before the other, one step before the other. By August of 18, we were presidential, which meant we went from 3 EDs, October of 16, to 10 EDs by August of 18. By August of 18. Okay. And during that time, again, overcoming home and foreclosure. We came out of foreclosure eventually. During that time, things were improving. We kept setting new goals, kept setting new financial goals, kept engineering them backwards. In December of 18, so August of 18, we became presidential. December of 18, we became integrated presidential directors. Integration came along during that time span there, became IPDs. What that means is not only did we help awaken and 10 executive directors to become EDs, but also to become FIBCs. And here is the best part. You cannot do it alone. During this time span from 16 to December of 18, we also grew our organization to have 5 integrated presidential directors in depth. 5. So not only did we raise ourselves, you cannot do it alone. You have got to find out what others want. You have got to build the speed of trust. And then you have got to link arms and work together. And we'll talk a little bit about strategic partners, finding strategic partners, and not just those that want to be around for the fun. Okay, we looked for strategic partners. 5 IPDs, 6 globals, 3 presidentials in that time span. Now the business has grown beyond that, but as you see in that 2-year span, it wasn't just what could we do for us, it was what could we do for others. And that's why following the model, following the system, finding strategic partners are you. Strategic partners are us. Strategic partners are people that make a decision of what it is they want. All I wanted was my mortgage payment in the beginning. And then the next month it was my mortgage payment and pay the light bill. And then it became from that to, maybe I could make my car payment because now they're coming to take it. Okay, maybe we can get that caught up. See, we just kept engineering forward what we needed and engineering backwards how many we needed to help. And we found those that wanted to do the same. That's a strategic business partner. So it can be done, and that's without tools, that time frame. And that's why I say the income disclosure statement is so important for me. When I show that to someone, I ask them, where did you look first? Did you look at the top or did you look at the bottom? Where do you see yourself, at the top with the 2%, 2% income, where most are making nothing? Or do you see yourself at the bottom where the smallest percentage is making the most? All that means is the majority of people will not do the work of an entrepreneur to earn the lifestyle. Most won't give up the good for the great. And I want to challenge all of you. We've been in TLDP with Helen Irwin since it started. We did TLDP, CP, LP, and MP. We just finished TLMP and have done it now, I think 5 or 6 years, however many years it's been there. And she challenged myself. I coached with her, Rick and I coached with her separate. And she challenged me. I've always had a 3-month goal, because when you own your own business, you always want to be looking out 3 months. You're never working in the moment. Your map is your action plan for this month. It's like your to-do list. It's like knowing what you're going to do for this month, but that's not your true business plan. Your business plan is, where are you 3 months from now? Everything in the business is done in 3-month increments and quarters. So you need a 3-month goal. You need a 6-month goal. You need a 1-year goal, because if you don't plan where you're going to be a year from now, you're going to be in the same place. You will be exactly where you are. So at least at minimum, work with your mentorship for a 3-month goal, a 6-month goal, a 1-year goal. And as you work towards that 1 year, stretch it out to 3 years. Where do you want to be in 3 years? If you really see this as a business, if you really see this as your business, where do you see it 3 years from now? Dan Bell tells us to go 5 years from now. What will you be doing? How will you be living? What will you have accomplished? All 7 equities. Rick actually wrote a program on 7 equities, which is part of what Dr. A has brought into the company. We've been teaching and using 7 equities for a decade and a half or more. And all 7 equities, where will you be in 5 years? But here's where Helen challenged me. She said, where will I be in 25 years? Have any of you thought of a 25-year goal? Well, when you are mentoring with Helen Irwin and she says, next week, I want your 25-year goal in my hands so we can review it, you do it. Well, at 60 years old, my 20-year goal is going to put me at 85. That's pretty eye-opening when you step back and say, gosh, where will I be at 25? Suddenly, I can change the trajectory of where I'm going to be in 25 years. That's pretty cool. Not only did it cause me to pause and step back and say, wow, this business, 25 years from now, where will it be? Well, 15 years ago, I thought if this gig lasted 5 years, I'd hit the golden egg. And truly, I just wanted to make my mortgage payment. And if I could have done that just for enough to get us out of foreclosure, well, I hit lotto. That would have been great. But here I am 15 years later, integrated presidential director. Anybody look at some of the incomes Dan shows on that? The average starts about $50,000 a month and it goes up from there. We've been integrated presidential director since 18. So we're kind of up from there. Write out $50,000 a month, spend it on paper, and then do it every month for the next 3 months, but then increase it. Because if you continue to grow this business and share it with others and help others accomplish what they want, that income continues to grow. Okay, spend that, see what life could be like. But dream 25 years from now. We've got a corporate staff, Nick, Dan, Mike Coven, all of corporate behind this company. They've got a 25-year. They know where we're going to be international. They know we're going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. We're there already. They know we're going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. Where do you see yourself with this company in 25 years? Well, it sure did make me step back and refocus in all 7 equities. My health, I am always ultra focused on. It's still not where it was, but I'm certainly not where it used to be either. And I do work on it every single day. Thank you to Optavia for helping guide me on that. It helps me in my wealth. At 85 years old, I look at our leadership. Dr. A and Dan are both in their 70s. Dan's houses just got wiped out on Sanibel Island. He didn't hesitate when we spoke to him to say, well, I don't think I'll rebuild. I'll probably sell my property and go to assisted living at this point. No way, not even close. He's already got the plans in motion to rebuild and move on while they're sitting in their Colorado home. Okay, now they built the same way you and I did. I sat in Dr. A and Lori's first home back in 2008. That was an 1,800 square foot ranch and a modest little living room. They did not walk into this with a silver spoon or money in the bank. They actually built the same way we did. Where do you see yourself 25 years from now? I just really want you to all think about that. In the meantime, bring yourself back. What is an immediate dream? What is an immediate goal? What is something that you need after you make the decision to go for it that's going to help awaken you to engineer it backwards on how many people you need to help to accomplish what it is you want? Every penny we earn, a life is attached to it. That's pretty cool. And Annika, I'm going to wind it down. I don't know how I'm doing on time, but I'm going to wind it down. Cancer has been prevalent in my family for a long time. And yeah, I have proven that wrong and overcome that curse and showing my children that it ended with me, that it's not going to continue on in our family genetics. My brother was diagnosed. My brother is a healthcare provider, and he has more initials after his name than I don't know what. It's, he's a hospital administrator. He's a physician assistant. He's a doctor. He's a EMT. I mean, it goes on and on and on. He was diagnosed with cancer and was very, very ill. And the hospital that he was working at held a fundraiser for him. And we went over to the fundraiser and they were serving spaghetti dinner. And he was insistent on coming, even though he could barely stand. He was gray. He was going through treatment and he just shook the whole time from the tremors from the treatment. But he stood there for over 8 hours because that's how long the line was out the door. And in the rain, they won't even come to your funeral in the rain, but they lined up for his fundraiser in the rain. And we listened to one person after the other come up to the microphone and share how he affected their life, how he changed their life, how he saved their parent, how he was there when they lost their parent. It was 8 hours of just amazing testimony to the life that my brother lived. They ran out of spaghetti. There was still a 4-hour line. So they came back the next day and they did it again the next day. And we went back the next day and listened to this. And I stood there looking at my brother. And at the end, I said to him, Chris, his name is Chris. I said, Chris, I don't know how I could ever live and give as much as you have. You're leaving this world having affected so many people, and hearing the stories of how you've touched lives just by living it out, just by being you, just by giving of yourself to help them. Then along came Optavia and Take Shape for Life. And quite honestly, that's what we have in our hands right here. With every person that you talk to, every person that you touch, every person that you offer this opportunity to, you are doing the same. And know that when you leave this earth, that is the legacy. It's not just the financial legacy that you're leaving, it's the legacy of the lives that you've touched by this offering. This is so much more than fuelings. The fuelings are just the catalyst for the economic engine, because there's got to be some way. Otherwise, it'd be a volunteer organization. So the fuelings are just the economic engine. The true mission, the true legacy is the stewardship that we offer through this opportunity by sharing it with others. So don't hold back in one area: healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finance. And know that when you leave this earth, whatever your faith is, you will not just be a whisper in the wind where your voice, your name, and your legacy is gone as quick as the breeze. That somewhere on this earth, someone will mention you, that you had some type of contact with them and really made a difference in their life and in their world. That's what we have here in front of us. So I really hope I brought value. It's unplugged. I wrote notes, but there's scribbles all over my page. And I'll open it to Q&A for the end, unless you've got anything else you want me to speak on.
Marj, I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes. And when you were on stage, I just, listening to your story, you've got so much grit, you've got so much fortitude in your blood and so much fight. Like, before I open it up for everybody else, I really want to know from you, why didn't you just give in? You have been through so many things that I heard, from the dinner table too, that we were talking about, right? Like,
Yeah, I haven't
your
even
nickname,
touched on all of
no,
it.
no, you haven't, right? Like how you were born into your name, all of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Why,
I will touch on that.
like what makes you so different? And why did you make the decision that you weren't going to listen to anybody else and you were going to challenge the status quo? I mean, because you
Yeah.
could have just given up. You could have just listened to the doctors. You could have just rolled over. Why?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. And thank you for asking that question and sharing with me about my name. Why didn't I? Because that was the only power I had, was the only control I had. I couldn't control the disease. All right. I couldn't control the economic status crisis of the world, but I could control how I was going to either respond or react. That I could do. And it all came down to me being able to make that decision. I knew I had the right vehicle in front of me. I had 100% faith in Optavia, 100%, because I saw what it did for myself. I never doubted for a moment. And as I said, engineering backwards, if you just need new shoes for your kids, go accomplish that, because there's your win. And once you accomplish that win, you will set a bigger win the next time. So why didn't I ever quit? Well, first, I was a mom of 5. We had been real estate agents, top producing in our area, all types of awards for over 25 years, and that crashed. At my age, with a college degree that I never used, having worked in real estate, which had now crashed, where was I going to go? Was I going to go to work at State Farm for $30,000 a year? Where I saw the opportunity here, that if I did the work, I could still be here with my children through a crisis that we were going through. I mean, it's just, quit never entered my vocabulary. And if it did, I quickly shot it down. And I'm going to say I live by faith. As there were times, and I'll share how I live by faith. During all this, my dad died on my lap. My mother moved in with us, and we were in foreclosure. We built a guest house for $100,000 of our savings in the middle of foreclosure for her to live in, because I had faith that this business was going to get us through. But my mom lived with us while we were building it. And I just turned mantras around, Annika. And when my mother would tell me how I was raising my kids wrong, or, whatever, living with your mom, there's all these different things, I'd say, someday I'm going to miss this, but today is not the day. Meaning You know, today
Yeah.
isn't the day I miss it, but someday I'm going to. And that would cause me to stop and reflect that someday I am going to miss her criticizing me or correcting me or, you know, just whatever little things she did that were different from what I did. So it all starts and stops with what you tell yourself. What you tell yourself. And you mentioned my name. My mom loved her dearly, and she was a great woman. So don't let me give the wrong impression on that. It's just living with your mom can be challenging for anyone. And especially my children, if they move back in, I'm sure they'd share stories. My mom's only sibling sister was murdered at the age of 26 while she was expecting me. So as a legacy, she named me after her sister. Okay, so I was named always being reminded of the fact that her sister was murdered at 26. My mother then carried that fear and that concept that at 26, I picked up and moved away, and she was sure that I was going to live that. So my whole life had a cloud over it of, you know, gosh, just this legacy of a tragedy. So you do learn to live beyond what's spoken over you. You do learn to live beyond what's spoken into you. You do learn to have an identity. Dr. A's book, Identity, I highly recommend everyone read that, because I got to choose the identity that I wanted to identify with and who I wanted to become and how I wanted to be seen and the life I wanted to live. So one of the things when our first grandchild was born, I changed my name from Marge, which was my mother's name, my mother's sister's name, to Gia, which stands for, and many of you may see me as Gia or hear me announced as Gia, or even say Marge. Well, you know, she goes by Gia, and it confuses a lot of people, but I changed it to Grandma is Awesome. When we had our first grandchild and they wanted to call me Nana and Nana and Nona and all these other names, I paused and said, you know what? I'm going to change my identity and truly focus on where I want my grandchildren to see me, how I want my grandchildren to know me, and who I'm going to become. See, we don't have to change our names. And truly, honestly, legally, I didn't change my name, but I do go by Gia. Grandma is Awesome, because every time I share that name, I'm edifying myself again of the life I want to live, who I want to become, how I want to be. When I said my name in the past, and interesting enough, my dad would never call me by my name, Marge. He called me Maggie. My entire life called me Maggie. Okay, because he did not want me to identify either. So there's a whole lot of background there. But truly, your identity, if your identity is wrapped up in who you are and where you're at now, change it. Change it. Make a decision that you are going to become the best version of you. It's not necessarily shape. My shape has gone up. My shape has gone down over the last 15 years. I continue to move forward. I've never let my health go completely backwards. I always move it forward because I'm a health coach. It's like going to see a dentist with rotted teeth. I don't think people come if we're only going backwards the entire time. But change your identity, become who it is you want. That's what Optavia offers us the opportunity to do, is to truly change the world and transform our life while we help others transform theirs.
Isn't that the most beautiful thing, really, is to be able to get rid of these, generational curses, cultural biases, be able to create the identity that we want to be in the world. I mean, that's just huge testimony, you guys. I asked Marge if we could open this up for questions, because I'm sure a lot of you guys listening to her story now are just blown away, right? And probably are curious. Maybe for you guys have got some questions, maybe you need some clarification. I want you guys to be able to kind of come off, maybe ask and engage with Marge. As you see, she's one of the most amazing women I've ever met, super transparent and authentic. She just wears her heart on her sleeve. So as you guys have got questions, maybe raise your hand. I'll allow you guys to kind of take off of mute. Stacy, I'll ask you to come off.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I love you. You have touched my heart this morning. I hadn't even heard of you before she said that you were coming in. And so of course I'm going to be here because I want to soak it all in. You are a phoenix and you are a light. And I just want to hug you.
Oh, thank you.
I literally just want to come through and hug you. Gia, I love that.
Stacy, thank you. Thank you. And I am no one. I'm just a warrior of Optavia. Oh, so thank you.
So yes, you are a warrior. So let me ask you this. I have been a coach and I've been at ED for 2 years. And when you said your 1-year goal, am I in the same place? I've been in the same place for 2 years in a row. Happily, comfortably here. You know what I mean? I have not punched through the wall and gone balls out, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
And so when I hear stories from you overcoming so much, it's hard to ask you how you do that, because obviously that's just in your blood. I mean, you started with your dad, you said, you know?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So how do you, after several years coaching, how do you still have that just strong grit and drive? Because I'm feeling like you take no excuses, you take no crap, you just walk right through it. And I love that. That is my personality, but I'm not there yet. And I need to become that.
The beauty of Optavia is it's not personality driven. All right. It's not personality driven. There's a couple answers to the questions that I heard. Is how do I drive through it? My one is faith. I always turn to faith. And 2 is, what's option B? If you don't rise up and come through it, you die in it. That's not an option. I mean, who wants to lay there and suffer in it? So get yourself up, dust the dirt off, and take the next step. You don't have to see the whole staircase that, Martin Luther King saying, but you at least got to take a step. Because option B is to lay there in it. And you have not even heard a quarter of what we've gone through. No. Not even a quarter, from children to children at war. But you know what? You step up and just, my mind just goes to, and believe me, it's, you learn it. I don't think you're born with it. I think you learn it. Is you are either going to step up or stay down. And I look at the options. If I stay down, what good will that do me? Then I better accept the pain. I better accept the misery. I better accept the struggle. I better accept, the lack, the need. The other option is take one step up and start to step out of it. If you step in dog do, are you going to stay there?
Nope.
Are you just going to slip the shoe off and leave it there and walk away from it? Or are you going to step out of it, hose off the shoe, put it back on because it's your favorite Jimmy Choo shoe, and keep going? That it's that simple. Don't overcomplicate this process. It's not something you're born with. It's something that you just have to make a decision. I'm either going to stay here and wallow in it, from health to wealth to physical. So you stated you're an ED for 2 years. One of the questions I'd ask, and with Annika's permission, I'm going to ask, is, what's your next goal? Complacency is the killer of dreams. And that's where I couldn't dream. In the beginning, I truly couldn't. I could barely breathe, but I knew what I needed. So even if you don't have a dreamer right now, or if your dreamer's broken, find out what the need is. And in order for you to answer that need, you have to find others that have a need. That's it. It cannot be based on just what you want. We're not selling widgets. You have to then turn around, and now is where you have the tools. We had to create our own 10-second elevator speech of how we were going to share this program. We had to get out there. Honestly, I door knocked. You'll laugh at this. And Dr. A approved back in the day. I made up a flyer that said, "Feeling large, call Marge." And I door knocked and taped it to people's doors. That's how we grew the business back then. Okay, it was silly, but that's what we did because we didn't have tools. We now have tools, and I'm proud that Rick and I are part of the committee that we've already paved the path. We've already stamped down the weeds. All you've got to do is follow the path, and you will end up at the peak of the mountain, and you get to decide how far you go. The biggest challenge we see in all organizations is people get to a false peak. They get to an area where the immediate pain is gone, and we hit that a little bit. And once you get there, you get comfortable. And unless you have a new peak, and that new peak wasn't a new car for me, I love things. I love to give away things. Somebody says, "Oh, I love your bracelet." Next thing I know, I'm handing it to them because I want them to enjoy. I want them to have. There's nothing better than to give it away. And my goal is to die broke. It truly is to die not poor, but to die broke. And even meeting with our financial advisor, we've set up our legacy to give to our children now while they're alive. And truly, at the time that we leave, they'll have this OptiVia legacy business that's set up to be distributed with them. And 3 of the 5 are coaches. We've said they aren't doing much. I'll just tell you that. Family's the worst, but they're coaches. Okay. But they've helped a few, but not one of them is an ED. And that's okay. It's not their calling. It's not their calling. However, my mission is to give it all away at the time that I leave this earth. And they'll have the legacy of the business to continue on. So what is your 25-year goal? Honestly, I want you to write that down and say in 25 years, because you have the power. When Annika, when you say, how did I have the tenacity and the grit to stand? That's the only power you have. You get to decide what your next 5 years will be like. And it starts today. And all you've got to do is walk out today and then plan for tomorrow and walk out tomorrow and plan for the next day and use the tools to locate people that want it different. Now, one thing I'll share, the numbers that Patty Gleck shared are real. Be comfortable with people not doing anything. And I said I'd speak on strategic partners. 50 to 60 coaches in a year. Okay, 40 are going to do nothing. 40 will do nothing. Be okay with that. Be okay with that. That's not on you. That's you gave them a Christmas gift. They chose to take it home and put it in the closet, not open it. That's okay. That's okay. Out of the 40 will do nothing. 20 will do something. Maybe they'll be a senior coach. Maybe not. Maybe they'll help one person. 20 will do something. 10 will go on to become senior coaches, solid senior coaches. 10. 5 will become an ED. Those are Dan Bell's numbers that Patty Glick shared that I'm sharing with you. Be okay with that. It's the story of the starfish. You can't help every starfish that gets washed up on shore, but the one you pick up and throw back sure did make a difference to that one. Same here. So I would say back to Stacy, you're at ED for 2 years because you just haven't set a goal to go further. And I'd say, look at who you can help. Here we've gone from foreclosure to, we built an entire wing with Dr. Joe. Many of you might know Dr. Joe, who runs Hearts of Fire, which is an organization that builds orphanages and hospitals over in Kenya and the Dominican. We now have a wing over there that we contributed. Dan Bell has a wing over there. See, the things you can do through OptiVia, because You decided to respect those with wealth and create wealth yourself, because wealth can help people and give back. So
Thank
if
you.
you have no other goal, I'd say set a goal to give to an organization something in the next year, and start working at it now and start giving away to it by the month. See, it's just making a decision. I hope that answered it.
That beyond answered it. Thank you.
The only way
so
you're going
much
to
for
grow
your time.
beyond ED, if you're ED FQV, every business, even an IPD, our only business that I can lay claim to is my FQV, my front qualifying volume. Everything beyond that is the work of everyone else that wanted their life different. We just gave them our wisdom, our experience, and our mentorship. And for that, we get a percentage of helping them do great. We are compensated good, but they're compensated great. All right, so don't take claim to your organization. It's all about them. You're your FQV.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anything else before? I feel like I've rattled on here, but I hope it was of value.
Just pearls of wisdom left and right, Marge. You know, I think I love that. It's what we talk about really is that D3, right? It's that dreams and the desire and the dedication go down to it. If you don't have the dreams and then you don't have the desire, you're never going to be dedicated to go create it, is really what it boils down to.
And what's plan B?
Yeah.
Where else can you find this? And do recognize we have a 25-year goal. So does corporate. It's going to be here. Where are you going to be in 25 years? And then engineer it backwards. Okay, let me do 10. Let me do 5. Let me do 3. Let me do 6 months. Let me do this month. Create the dream if you don't have it. Start with a purchase. Thank you,
Marge.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much for your transparency, your heart, and your authenticity this morning, and really showing us what a great life can really look like. You know, if we really embrace dreaming, right? Challenging our current identity and being able to create a better one with that, right? And embracing the obstacles in life as the way to create better. You know, this really is a testament to what it means to be an Optivian, you guys. So thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. Want to honor your time and commitment. You guys, see you all tomorrow morning on the Set for Success series at 8 a.m. And again, next week at Friday at 8 a.m., we've got another incredible transformational story on next week's Breakthrough series. Marge, thank you so much, sweetheart.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and hop off so you can wrap it up. Thank you.
Right.
Abundant blessings. God bless, guys.
Yep. You guys, so powerful this morning. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, absolutely incredible, you guys. You know, what we do makes a difference in this world. And I know that I've talked about this before. We just got to figure out what kind of difference that we really want to make here. This is why I'm really creating this breakthrough series. You guys make sure you're sending this to your teams. This is recorded. We'll send it back. So much of what Marge says can make just a difference for just one person on mindset. And as if you get nothing else out of this, I want you to realize that you are the creator of your own future. You get to decide. You get to decide. All right, you guys, we will see you next week. Bye, guys.